Welcome to the Tax Awareness Show. My name is Shiliboy Mutiba. I'm actually reporting live from G20 Finance Ministers and Governors, the third meeting, which is actually the last meeting that will be happening in South Africa for finance track under the presidency of South Africa. But one of the things that I want to bring to your attention is the issue of debt level or debt crisis in African countries. What is going on? The issue that is being reported here is the issue that the African countries are actually spending so much money, or rather they're spending so much of their government revenue really servicing the debt book. And that is actually quite a concerning issue. Let me just actually give you a picture here. If you remember in the previous, or rather 2025 budget speech in South Africa, a Minister of Finance actually alluded that we are spending 1.2 billion on a daily basis really servicing our debt book. Now that gives you a context, because what is being discussed here is that African countries are actually spending around 10% or 38% of African countries, developing countries in Africa, are really spending over 10% of their government revenue really servicing that. What it means is that instead of actually allocating these monies into things that are more strategic, that can actually have a positive impact in terms of for economic growth, they're actually being channeled to service the debt. And we are actually compromising ourselves such that we're not even investing in our people and, for that matter, their future. Because now we're taking money that should be rechanneled to things, social wage, such as health, education, but now we are redirecting that money in order to service the debt level, and or rather to finance the debt that we have as African countries. So with South Africa spending over 20% of the government revenue to service the debt that we have as African countries, it's really concerning, because it means we're actually spending double what is being considered that the developing countries are actually spending, which is about around 10% of their government revenue. But there are solutions that are being proposed, because in the report that was put forward by the head of Africa Expert Panel, our former Minister of Finance, Mr. Trevor Manuel, one of the solutions that actually resonated well with it is the issue around the creation and the reforms that are required to ensure that there's a growth or there's a development of domestic capital markets that will actually assist in ensuring that these countries, because currently the countries like such as South Africa, when they really borrow money, they borrow in hard currencies, which means that should the rand really depreciate against these hard currencies such as dollar, it means that this would have a negative impact in terms of the amount that we need to really service, the exchange rate consequences that comes with that. But equally so, the issue of credit ratings is a big concern, because we all know that if we don't have a good credit ratings, then it means the cost of capital it becomes quite expensive, and as a result, this may be an issue. One of the also issues around that came out of these discussions around that is the issue around fiscal space discipline that is required, such that eventually we can be able to really build buffers within the fiscal space, and then maybe perhaps reducing this debt level that we're seeing in African countries, including South Africa for that matter, so that we can really start channeling the money to really critical spaces such as health and education for sustainability of African countries, including South Africa. Thank you so much. My name is Shiliboy Mutiba. I'm your host of the Tax Awareness Show, where we are bringing you everything to do with fiscal policies and monetary policies in South Africa. Thank you for watching.